Without a healthy mind, being truly happy and at peace is hard. The good news is therapy works. But what is therapy exactly? It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now and would like some tools to help. Or maybe you're feeling insecure in relationships or at work, not dealing well with stress. Whatever you need, it's time to stop being ashamed of normal human struggles and start feeling better because you deserve to be happy. And now you don't have to worry about finding an in-person therapist near you to help. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Join the millions of people who are seeing what online therapy is really about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself because you are your greatest asset. And a special offer to ImmaLetYouFinish listeners, you can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/ImmaLetYou, ImmaLetu. That's betterhelp.com/ImmaLetYou, ImmaLetu. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast.
What's up, everybody? It's your... Why am I screaming?
I don't know. You have a mic. It's like you're talking to someone who doesn't speak English and you figure to scream at them. Where is the bathroom?
I'm like looking at my levels and I'm like, why are you screaming? It's 9:49 in the morning.
No reason to scream.
Okay. It is ImmaLetYouFinish with your favorite host, Ebony Jackson and Ivory Rabinowitz. We are here.
So you're Ivory Rabinowitz now?
Well, and you're Ebony Jackson.
Fine. It's about time. This keeping it black 24/7 is exhausting.
And let me just tell you something. Brighton Beach is my favorite part of Brooklyn. Well, that's more Russian, right? Isn't Brighton more... Well, actually, it's the Russian Jews are Brighton.
Russian Jews.
It's like Brighton Beach, that whole ocean.
Little Odessa. Area. It's called Little Odessa.
Like, do you remember how... Like, the thing that's crazy about that area, especially when you go down, like, Ocean Parkway, is how huge those houses were.
Huge.
When I was little, I used to think that they were mansions because we would go to Coney Island and you drive down, and I'd be like, look at these mansions.
No, they're beautiful.
They are beautiful.
I have to say, for those, even as a New Yorker, when you get into a car and you drive around some of those neighborhoods like Flatbush and stuff, those houses are stunning.
And huge. And people have
big families.
Big families. And like even like when you go over by Midwood, right? And you go into those
beautiful. Midwood has some really beautiful houses.
Gorgeous.
All right, and here's today your what's it? Real real estate, millionaire real estate of Northern Brooklyn. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Brought to you by Coldwell Banker.
And our mayor, who's at every nightclub and everything. Brought to you by Eric Adams. Yeah, Not much work getting done, but if there's an opening, trust me, he's there up front touting the greatness of New York.
Oh, bless his heart. Bless his heart. All right.
You guys gave him to us. He was y'all. He was the Brooklyn Borough president.
I didn't know. No. Excuse me.
And I used to see him driving in your neighborhood. I remember back, and he used to have Eric Adams for mayor.
Excuse me. Eric Adams won because he got the outer borough black middle class middle age vote. You can't put this on me. The whites voted for Catherine Garcia and Myra Wiley. The whites.
Some of us blacks
All
voted for
but you can't
Myra
blame
Wiley.
It. You can't blame it on me. He lost Manhattan. He didn't get any votes in Manhattan. You can blame a lot of things on white people. I
live in Manhattan. You live in Brooklyn. Yeah. I think Brooklyn gave it to him. I do think because he
not my Brooklyn, different Brooklyn.
But he can't pay for that shit. I used to see him long before he even announced he was running for mayor. Do you remember he'd be driving through your neighborhood and he had that big sticker on the side of his car?
All right. I don't want to talk about him. I'm in a bad enough mood as it. I don't want to talk about him. He irritates me, and nobody give whatever. Oof. All right, Oscars. I was working. All right, so you actually paid attention, right?
Sure, but basically,
it's 10 Best Picture again this year.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, the movies that everybody thought would get nominated did. The Banshees of Inisherin got a bunch of nominations.
Very worthy movie.
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once got a bunch of nominations.
Tar.
Did you see Tar?
No. I have to find it on the interwebs. I have to find it on the interwebs. Don't tell me. I know what it's about.
Let me just say this.
Yeah.
It's boring as fuck.
Right.
Until the last 30 minutes.
All right.
So you gotta get through 2 hours of I'm pulling my fucking hair out, then for it to then finally get like, oh, okay, this we could have just done this part.
Okay. All right.
Wait, hold on. The Fablemans.
Yeah. So basically, and I guess the big surprise is that this year they decided to go for the blockbusters. So you have you have Marvel movies. Yeah. You have Avatar, which actually got very bad reviews. But
it did get bad reviews. It got great reviews. It got
Avatar.
For the most part, that movie got excellent reviews.
All right,
people loved it.
And then Top Gun. That's the first time I think any of that any of those kind of movies have gotten in. So that's sort of, I guess.
And the snubs are people are like, they thought Woman King would get in there and Viola would get a nomination. She didn't, but Angela Bassett did, which makes her the first actor to get a nomination from a Marvel movie. Universe.
Elvis got nominated, which is not surprising at all. I still have to watch that because everyone I know who saw it loved it. So I do have to watch that. And then the actors from those respective movies got. I mean, there's no snubs. I didn't see a lot of these movies.
People feel like the Woman King getting nothing when Viola and the movie have been nominated and a bunch of the other awards leading up to. So there's a little bit of folks that maybe feel like that's a snub. But, to me, it seems like the usual suspects and another year of, a lot of people watching Oscars for movies they didn't see.
Well, I'm glad that Women Talking, which is an excellent book, by the way. It's a woman directed, Sarah Polley.
Sarah Polley, yeah. I like her.
So that's nice. Yeah, I like her too. So that's nice to see. It's not going to win, but it's nice to see a woman director being acknowledged. I feel bad that I have not seen.
But you seen Banshees, and you said it was great.
Banshees is fantastic. I watched half of Everything All at Once, not because I was making a critical judgment on it, but because I was watching it on the interwebs, and it started buffering, and I was like, I'm already confused as to what's happening, and the buffering is making it even worse.
Right.
But I am, it's fine. It's fine.
That's how I feel. It's like, okay, great. Got that out the way.
It's fine.
Oh, Rihanna got an Oscar nomination.
Oh, for that song?
Uh-huh.
That none of us liked.
I mean, that one. Yeah.
That song. Cool. I guess that's the thing.
And Lady Gaga for that other awful
song.
One. That one, that Top Gun one where it's like, oh, wow.
I think they like it when pop singers slow it down and sing slowly and enunciate, and they go, oh, we're going to give you an Oscar nomination for working with 27 other people to write a song. So you're okay, you get an Oscar nomination.
No, it's very you expressed so much. Yeah. So much.
I still want to bring it back to the Academy Awards. I don't like this Oscar.
I know. I like the exactly.
Yeah.
We
don't have enough verbiage to say the Academy Award.
Give me Rob Lowe dancing with Snow White.
Don't ever give me that.
I love the ridiculousness.
No, but I'm just saying that I would wish they would say the
Academy Award.
The Academy Award just seems like dumb. It seems really, really dumb. All right. Speaking of dumb, Drake. You know me and Drake. Every semester I start off saying, I'm just telling you guys I don't like Drake. Stop defending him.
I mean, listen, he was so exciting that someone fell off the balcony.
He played the Apollo. It's a Sirius FM show. So he did 2 sold-out nights. 2 sold-out nights? At the Apollo, which is what? How many seats at the Apollo? 2,000? Is it even 2,000?
It's a little bit over 2,000. But I believe it looks like they took... First of all, he built a real production in there. I've never seen the Apollo stage look like that. He completely built a full production that looked like a corner and a bodega.
Nice.
It was actually the production of it was gorgeous. And I think they took the seats out in the front, so it was kind of like general admission where people were standing.
Well, they would kind of have to. I have to say, the first time I went to the Apollo, and obviously the Apollo is a legendary, iconic theater, I was kind of like, wow, this is kind of small and kind of run down.
But that's how they used to have theaters back in the day. But I believe at the end of this season, the Apollo is going to go through. It's had refurbishments.
One renovation, yeah.
But this time, it's going through a real renovation, a first full renovation. Like they're changing seats. They're changing the lobby. They're going to open it up and expand to have a lobby bar. And they're going to make it so that, because you notice that more and more artists are playing the Apollo, and they've got a lot of, like, everybody wants to play it. So they're going to update it so that they can really
make it more like the Beacon, maybe.
Well, make it more so that they can also do more technically advanced shows.
Got it. Yeah.
Because now, everybody's coming in and the Apollo's legendary and they're playing there. You want to be able to support, because people have been bringing in shows and really transforming. So I think they want to update it. So
they want to make it like competitive and not just a nostalgia thing. Anyway, so Drake performed. It was Drake, right? Yeah.
He brought out Dipset, made people happy.
Yeah, you got to do that in New York. He's not stupid. He knows.
And he's not wearing Cameron's pink fur and pink fur hat.
What a stretch for Drake.
I don't understand. I don't
get him.
Fascination with it. I
don't get it either.
But good for them. He had a show. He sang a lot of songs. He teased a new album this year.
Good, because it's been 5 minutes since he put out a record.
And a tour. So.
All right. I mean, whatever. To me, he's there. I don't get it. I don't need to get it. I'm sure he's not up all night worrying about whether I get it or not. I just don't. He's just whatever. All right, Beyonce. All right, so Beyonce did it's her first time performing in 4 years, and so her company, her people flew out. Some influencers already, I'm pissed, whatever that means, and some journalists to Dubai to mark the opening of some rich people's paradise thing. For all accounts, the show was very good. I mean, that's not surprising. She's an excellent performer. She brought Blue Ivy out, who is going to be Nepo baby of the century at this point. So, but Blue Ivy appears to be like a nice kid, and it's all great. All right, here's the controversy, and this is actually, for me, pretty serious. Dubai, like many countries, being gay is illegal. In theory, you can be arrested for being gay. In theory, you can go to jail for being gay. Beyonce has waved the flag, especially with her last album, of being an LGBTQ ally. I think we can both agree, I hope we can both agree, that Renaissance would not exist without gay club culture, especially Black gay club culture. Absolutely. She does not need the check that she got from this, which was very substantial. So why is she playing this show in that location?
Well, one, let me just say this. I'm never going to count people's money, because when you're working, right, you take checks of money. I see this controversy happening, and then I'm like, but wait a minute. We have a bunch of sodomy laws in a lot of states here in the United States where, in theory, you can be arrested for having gay sex. And right now, drag queens and trans people are under attack in America. Like, there are laws being made against them, rights being taken away. Amy, I am 55 years old. I have been out since I was a teenager and going out since a teenager. I've seen drag queens everywhere. Drag queens always will tell you harrowing stories about having to take the train to work, and it's a risk for their life doing what they do. But we never had people protesting in front of bars in New York City because there's a drag show, and protesting, Proud Boys marching in the street here because they want to go stop a drag queen library reading session and a drag queen show in Queens. And I'm thinking, we're worried about somebody taking a check for what's happening in Dubai, and our rights are being crumbled here.
All right, let me say
I understand. Listen, I have bigger issues with the Beyonce situation. I feel that if you're going to make this record that celebrates our queer culture, it has been a problem to me that there's been no outreach to that culture. There was a whole summer where this was the first Pride back live in 3 years. It was the perfect time. Every big artist has come to a Pride throughout the years in their prime to be like, thank you. Do a little show, something. Throw a party, something, right? So you give us this record, there's nothing. The only times we see you basically are in a Tiffany's campaign, and now, or at very private parties where there's no pictures allowed, where we could just see very famous people coming in. And now Dubai, it's like, I feel like I don't know. It's almost like when I'm looking at her career now, for someone that, I kind of worked with it for years, it just seems like I don't recognize it. It seems out of reach.
It's she's kind of in bubble wrap now.
It's I don't understand. So it's like you make this record that's kind of like you
make a party record and there's no party.
Right. And it's like it's a celebration. Music I recognize, I told you I love this record. I really recognize the textures of this record. And then it's like nothing. But then the next time I see you, it's like private parties for celebrities and when I say like all of the Kardashians coming to a Beyonce party, and I'm like, this seems, I don't even like it. Yeah. So Dubai is such an interesting choice. I don't think that it's like people are like, oh, cancel Beyonce. No one's trying to cancel Beyonce. It's a really interesting choice I'm never going to tell somebody when to take money and not to take money.
Seriously? No, I'm being seriously.
No, because to me, I'm like, that is your choice. Right? Now, like, would I make a different choice?
Right.
I don't have any desire to go to that region of the world, even though I think it's quite beautiful, right? And just like I've been to Africa, I don't want to go everywhere in Africa. I don't want to go someplace where I feel like I can't just be myself, because I am who I am. I don't need my walk to be a problem. You know what I mean? I don't need just me being me to be a problem. And, so it's just kind of like, well, people could say she didn't sing any of the music from this new record there. And I'm like, okay, cool, got it. I don't know. It just feels like, and I said this to you before, I think the dance community gets really disrespected. I think a lot of people, and I'm not saying she's being disrespectful, but like her, Drake, everybody, people make dance records because what's the easy way to have a hit, right? Come back and make people dance. If you're a big star and you've had some time off and you come back with a record that makes everybody dance, it's the formula that usually gives everybody a hit again. But I also think then come to the community, like do some stuff. There were so many house music festivals, and the big black ones just show up in one place to be like, thank you, this music, I'm here. But now it almost feels like untouchable in such a way that it doesn't feel relatable. And,
I will say this. I'm not asking you to cancel. That word doesn't mean anything, okay? All I'm saying is, first off, I agree with you 100% that there is discrimination going on against people of color in this country, queer people, women, let's go down the list. The difference in this country, though, is I have seen artists boycott Texas because of abortion laws and things. And I think we will, now that touring gets more we will see people targeting things. So I agree with you 100%. What I'm saying is, you haven't done a show in 4 years, and this is the place you go, because there are people who have pulled out of shows in these countries.
Right.
So if you're going to make a statement show, and this is clearly a statement show, this is not just I'm doing a gig at a club down the street. This is a statement show. Why that statement? Especially if you're coming off an album that exists 95% of the time, 95% of it, because of a community that is completely legally and morally and religiously and spiritually ostracized and criminalized in that
country. If she had done this exact same show in London, I'd have no problem. If she had done this exact same show, I don't know, pick a country. But why? It's the same objection people had to the World Cup. Out of all the places, you got to pick that place. Right. I mean, discrimination exists worldwide. So that's my thing. She can perform wherever you want. She's a grown woman. But it just seems like, and I agree with you in this terms of, you've just made this record for the people. And where are you? Where are you? Say what you will about Drake, but he's performing at the Apollo. Nas is performing at the Garden, which is a relative. Where are you?
You and I have had this thing with Drake, but he will show up places.
I don't understand why she's being treated like a bird in a gilded cage at this point. Especially if you're making a record that is a celebration of a culture that is a community. Like, you know what I mean? Like she's celebrating a community and then going, and now I live in a gated community and don't come. Right. Yeah.
I mean, I was waiting for she's going to pop up at Soul Summit. I was waiting for she's going to, but like, listen, if you're going to go to Terry Hunter, you're going to go to the Founding Fathers weekend in Chicago.
I just think this is a bad look.
Get on the stage and be like, Pride. Boom.
This is a bad look. I think this is ultimately a bad look for her because it just plays into all the issues people have with her, which is that she's become removed, which is that she's become unrelatable, and which is because...
But now it's so removed that it's like, no videos. You can't take my photo. Even when I'm performing and singing, I'm like,
it's not a way.
What is? I can't even relate to this.
No, I don't. Happening? I mean, people make money. She's a capitalist. We know that. That's not even. She's married to a man who said, "I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman." I got no problem with. This is what she did.
No problem with it. Go do your thing. That. Make your money.
But it's like, come on. At some point, it just starts looking like. It's
don't make a black gay record and
then exclude black gay people and exclude. Don't make a black gay record in a place where being one of those two things could land you in jail and possibly even more. You know what I mean? That's what's troubling. That's what's troubling. I just thought it was a bad I just think from a publicity, good hands across the water kind of thing. It's just like. It just was a little much. It reminded me of those parties, like who was that guy? Malcolm Forbes, where they're flying everybody out to Marrakesh and stuff. It was just like, come on. I'm not expecting her to show up down the street singing at Mr. Mango, but especially coming off this record, which was such a calculated in a good way. Like, here I am, I'm your girl, here I am. Oh, wait, now I'm going to sing for every Kardashian except for Rob. Shout out to Rob Kardashian for never showing up for these things.
You know what? The hero of that family is
shout out to Rob Kardashian.
He was trying to tell us. He was telling us.
He
was like, this is some bullshit.
We didn't listen.
He was like, this is some bullshit, y'all. I can't do this. I'm not doing this.
Shout out to Rob Kardashian. All right. So there's good, I'm up to here with biopics.
I was going to say, there goes my Ivy Park boxes. They're never coming again. But you know what? Hold on. It was a good run.
Yeah. Can I tell you honestly, the people, they are intelligent people and smart people. They know damn well that this was going to cause thing. And, you can be very cynical and say.
And the thing is, she'll do like she always does. Keeps it moving. Will never answer it because she doesn't do any kind of interviews. The concert tickets will go on sale soon, and that's all anybody will talk about, right?
Or she donates the check. in my mind, in my fantasy world.
Oh, that was so funny. Hold on.
I know. In my fantasy world. I'm sorry. Yes. In my fantasy world. Mm-hmm. In my imaginary world where unicorns talk. Oh, God. I'm sorry. I just figured I'd throw that out there. I know. I like to make a funny.
It's such a sweet, sweet fantasy.
I know, it's cute, right? I live in a dream world. And then all the rich people.
And then the butterflies sprinkled.
Right, all rich people gave all their money to the poor people. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. So there's going to be an Amy Winehouse biopic, and the musical question is why?
Well,
why?
Picture. When I saw that picture, I was like,
of the girl?
I was like,
actress?
This looks like Anna Faris in doing.
No. She actually looks a little bit like
but in one of the scenes, she looks like Anna Faris doing a scary movie skit as Sydney running and screaming.
Well, all right. There's several reasons why the Amy Winehouse biopic shouldn't happen. First off, the documentary is about as good as it gets.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing that we're going to learn from this biopic that we haven't already known because we've seen a documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, her father, who is problematic, and her ex-husband, who is very problematic, are involved in this. So come on. I mean, this is a money grab. Again, I just don't see the point. What are we going to learn from this? The woman who's playing her, I don't know who this woman is, but she's an HBO, one of those shows on HBO that I watch. So they did want a woman who was Jewish. So that's good. They're not going to get like some, Gwyneth Paltrow to play her and look ridiculous. Gwyneth Paltrow is Jewish, actually. I take that back. But she's not going to be doing her own singing, which is, that's obvious. I mean, nobody does in these things. But I just don't see what's the point. What are we going to learn about her? We know this already. It's the same thing with the Whitney doc. What are we going to learn? The biopic. What are we going to learn about her?
The movie crashed and burned so badly. So bad.
The only one of these biopics that work is when we really don't know a lot about them. And I would say those are the ones that work pre-social media. Coal Miner's Daughter, Sweet Dreams, all that era.
Ray was great.
We weren't inundated.
What's love got to do with it? Right.
Right. We weren't inundated with information about them. Amy Winehouse, there wasn't a documentary about them.
Well, here's the thing. Even with a documentary, I think a good biopic could be great. Just make them great. They haven't, all of those films we just mentioned were great.
Yeah.
Some of these other ones were not great. They just haven't, the story wasn't written well.
Yeah.
The Whitney movie, unfortunately, they had an actress who her performance was praised, but I think she didn't look like or even favor Whitney Houston, that for a lot of people, it was hard to look and see because she didn't really give you any Whitneyisms other than the hair and mannerism, right? Which should be enough as for an actor. But now people are used to folks being able to go through prosthetics and do all other things. It's really, hey, Spoonie, hey, little Spoonie, hey, Spoonie.
She was waiting for an invite.
Right. The crazy thing is, of the biopic, the last few, right? All of the ones about white men have done well. Elvis's did well.
Right.
The Queen film did well. Rocketman did well. But the black women have not. The Respect did not do well, and neither did Whitney Houston. So Amy Winehouse's life is so short and really kind of fucked up. So it's like, is this going to be like a 2-hour torture film?
Because we're going to watch, I mean, there's like, she's 27 when she dies. We have maybe 18 years where it's good. And then we're going to watch yet another movie about a woman unraveling for the price of fame and her eating disorders. And I just don't get
drugs and the man.
And the bad man. And it's, again, I mean, I have a bias towards Amy Winehouse in that, I just think the story is, I don't know what they're going to add. And I don't see the point of dramatizing it when there has already been such a brilliant documentary about her. But I mean, and I don't know much about this director, but my British friends are up in arms. They say this director is horrible. Sam Taylor Wood is a woman.
I think, didn't she do like the
50 Shades of Grey?
Oh, God. Like, listen, do you remember?
But she also did remember that John Lennon biopic that came out years ago? She did some sort of Beatle thing, but she did. She's considered. No, they don't like her.
They don't like her. They really don't like her. No.
And she's the one. Her husband, like, she married him when he was like 4 or something, which is fine. I mean, that's not. But they don't like her. They don't like her. So I don't have that much of an I think you're capable of making like sort of a hack movie and then making a great movie. I mean, everybody has to start when you're a starting director, you give what they tell you to do, and then you get to do your. It's the involvement of the father and Blake Fielder, whatever his name was, Civil Fielder, whatever.
That's just a mess. It's just a mess.
Yeah,
it's a
it's
mess.
like a check. He killed her, and then he wants a check. Okay, so. They're like a lot of tech people are being laid off. That's not surprising, I guess, right?
No, but the weird one is the Spotify losing 6%, because all I keep hearing with all of these records are breaking Spotify records, 1 billion streams, a gazillion streams in a week, this album. So I'm like, y'all have gone in a row with all of these giant records, which means your streaming numbers should be through the roof. So why are you laying off 6% of the staff? I'm very confused.
Do you think that that's just, spending money in stupid places?
Maybe,
or
because
too many people, or people not coming to the office anymore, and you lose that kind of stuff?
I also think a lot of these corporations are forecasting and seeing maybe some trends that we're not, because you're noticing the tech companies have all just started chopping positions, all of them. And surprising companies that you don't really hear of doing that as often, from Google on down. So it makes me feel like they're just prepping to run leaner.
So something they foresee that's going to happen, and they're getting ready for. I mean, we're not talking about a Twitter situation where he's just a lunatic.
But the thing is weird to me. It's like streaming. Like, people still listen to music, so people are going to listen to. If you have Spotify, are you listening to less Spotify? I don't really hear people canceling. I hear people canceling like, all right, I had Hulu and I have 15 different streaming services. I'm canceling 5 of them. But I've never really had conversations with people who have Apple Music saying, I'm canceling that, or people who have Spotify say, I'm canceling that.
That was like for a hot minute when
everybody was in there,
and then they went back on. Yeah.
And 5 minutes later, everybody's right back on.
That was like, oh, well, it's funny you say that because David Crosby passed last week. And so I went back and I was listening to those early Crosby, Stills, Nash and records. And I'm listening to Deja Vu, which is the huge Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young record, and I'm like going, this doesn't sound the way I remember it as a kid. And then I realized all the Neil Young songs have been taken off.
Right.
So I'm like, where's Neil Young? I don't even hear him.
You're like something's wrong with this.
Something's wrong. All the Neil Young songs are gone. So that it is a weird one, Spotify. But I think you're right. I think it's something where they're looking at the tea leaves and they're leaning down. They're making things leaner because of all these variables, and they may see something that we don't see, and
listen, I'm never mad at a person who doesn't go back. Like, I'm not mad at Brendan Fraser, who was nominated for a Golden Globe, but remember years ago, he accused the head
nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah, and he accused the head of the Golden Globes of being inappropriate with him.
Right.
And swore he would never go back. And he's nominated. And everybody was like, are you going? He was like, fuck no, I'm not a hypocrite. And I love that.
Yeah.
I do love it. Because, so often people are like, I'll never go back there. Then they get nominated for something. And it's their grand return. And everybody gives them a standing ovation as they stand on stage. And then, the tears come. And they're like, thank you so much.
That's supposed to be a horrible movie, by the way.
I mean,
The Whale. It's supposed to, no, seriously. It is
to me.
Horrible reviews. And he's been the shining light in it. But I still don't understand, if you're doing a movie about a overweight person, why are you making it I haven't seen the
with
movie,
phobias and everybody's needs.
And why don't you just hire somebody who's overweight?
Well, here's the thing. Listen.
All right, but I haven't seen the movie, so
I am going to say this about that. And even the thing that I've been seeing, people are very angry because there's talk of this actor playing George Michael in the film, and the actor is not gay. I'm like, all right, I feel like you should hire whoever's best for the job. And I think as gay people, we have to be really dangerous. If you're saying gay actors should be hired to play gay roles, then that means, in reverse,
straight actors should not get to play. Gay actors should not get to play straight.
And you are going to box yourself in, and to say I shouldn't be able to play any of these other roles unless they're gay. I'm like, you're an actor. Let the best man win.
Or woman.
Yeah. Or woman. Well, when I say man, I mean human. I mean,
right. Is there a George Michael biopic
Evidently, there's going to be a George Michael biopic.
Now, that would be interesting.
Now, listen.
Depending on who is involved in it. But I think would be interesting.
Because the thing is, we know a bunch about him, but there's a lot we just don't know. We know very surface things about him, but there's a real story with George Michael.
Yes.
And if written right and told right, that could be brilliant.
Right. I think that actually could be really great, obviously depending on who plays him. But because, you're right. Because his career happened before social media.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we didn't know every little nuance of his life, and there are real social issues that he was dealing with that we're not privy to. It's so funny. I will tell you, there was I was part of a conversation yesterday about George Michael, which I will tell you about later. But I think that would be really interesting. Who are they thinking about for the lead?
I forgot this guy who was in one of those things with the thing, but he's handsome.
It would have to be someone who is not well known.
He's been in a couple of things, and maybe his name is Taryn or something with a T.
It would have to be someone who is not well known, because George Michael is you don't want someone who's going to look, you have to obviously have someone who looks Greek, okay? And then other than that,
listen, one of the best concerts of my life, George Michael at Madison Square Garden.
I bet.
Let me just tell you something. That motherfucker sang his face off. His face. Like, and you forget how many hits he had. It was just one after the other.
That could be a good one.
And his voice was just, he sounded the way you think George Michael would sound live. It was incredible.
All right, I do not. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There is a real Young Thug, the rapper Young Thug and businessman YSL is on trial right now. I mean, there is a serious issue in the terms that the prosecution, and there's actually was a law. And
there are a bunch of people that took deals, right?
Well, yeah, and there's a law because they're trying to say that his crew, YSL is they're trying him under RICO statutes. So they are trying to make this connection that yes, he is a rapper, yes, he's a businessman, but this is basically a mechanism for a bigger criminal activity. But what they're doing in good part, and this is where your First Amendment and the rights come in, and the idea of art, the artist versus the art, is they're trying to use his lyrics as an indication of criminal activity. Now, this has been, you remember back in the day, Snoop, when he was up for attempted murder or murder, and they tried to use his lyrics, and that didn't work. California, I believe, has passed a law saying that you cannot incorporate lyrics. This is the whole argument against drill in New York City. Eric Adams is saying that they're giving encoded messages, which they may well be doing. But this is whether he's guilty or not, I don't know. But using the lyrics is very problematic because, I mean, I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. Did Johnny Cash get brought up on murder charges? You got to be really careful with that.
True.
That said, what is the passing the percocet in court?
But that said, hold on. There's also, yes, he wrote that. That's not true. But say if you are, and I don't know all of the details of the case, if you are running a criminal investigation, organization, don't tell on yourself.
There's that. Yeah.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, we talk about that, and it's such a slippery slope because there are people who like, my lyrics come from my life. I'm writing about my life. So there's that balance. If you say that to people, then you say you can't use this against me. It's like, okay, I don't think you should be able to use somebody's lyrics. But don't tell on yourself in your lyrics too, right? If your lyrics are kind of detailing some of the shit you're doing, because that's the life you're living, and and it works because people love street tales, right? Especially in certain hip hop, they love street tales and they love that shit. So if you're doing stuff for the streets, you gotta be. Where do you draw the line if you know you're doing?
What if he's a character? I mean, let's be
absolutely.
What if he's saying, I mean, we all know that Eminem is not actually Slim Shady. So what if Young Thug is you know what I'm saying? I see both sides of it.
Except everybody else you mentioned is not sitting across with RICO charges and have a bunch of people who are in this organization that have already taken deals and are out of jail. You don't take a deal for nothing.
Right. I mean, I think
even though I know deals can come for different things, you might be faced with something like if they get you and they have, it's a really complicated situation.
I think the truth of this falls somewhere in between.
Absolutely.
I think it's possible for someone to criminally involved in a criminal organization and not use something that they've done as a creative as a persona, as because they tried to do that with Jay-Z. I think that there's somewhere in between. What my mind blowing, are you freaking kidding me?
It's passing a purpose.
Okay, can everyone see my face? My head is exploding.
Which is what makes me look at the whole situation and just think, there's like, what is the judgment here? Like, what's the judgment here?
Well, what happened is that
why would you pass it? Like, and Young Thug, they said, was very surprised. It's like what? Like, why?
So, if someone in the courtroom passed him a baggie that had Percocet and other stuff in it, and first off, do they not search people anymore when you go into a courtroom? It's not a moral judgment. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Everything about it just sounds nuts.
Weird. I mean, don't they? I mean, seriously. This is a federal court. This is a high profile trial.
Your friend is on trial.
And you're
like RICO charges. And you think in that moment,
I know what I'll do.
You know what he probably needs right now?
Jesus.
And a little buzz. So let me just go ahead and
wait. In the middle of a trial.
With cameras and court officers. And it was seen from every angle.
Every angle. I know. I'm like,
And now him and two other people. Now, Young Thug is not being charged, but the guy and two other people are. It's what are you guys? This doesn't even make sense.
No, it's like, it would be like we're sitting at the defense table desk and somebody goes, "Oh, yo, does anybody have any lean?" and pass it over.
You know what it is? I have a friend who 1000% believes that because, and I don't know, this is another old argument. He says, I think so many people play all of these realistic video games and the Vice Cities and all this stuff, and they love it and they live in it. And so you're in these crazy scenarios that sometimes I think these kids are walking around in real life thinking, oh, the same thing happens when I do something like in these games, and like you just get to turn it off, and there's not a real consequence to it.
Well, I mean, we've had this conversation ad nauseum where people are not in a world where there's actual responsibility for everything. So if you've been raised with like things just happen, why would you? But it is kind of, if it wasn't so
like you're in the courtroom. It was one thing if it was like we were in the hallway and he gave him a hug
in the courtroom.
Like,
he might as well have said, "Oh, yo, Judge, can we stop for a second? I'd like to give him some Percocet." It is kind of like criminals are not. We use the term criminal mastermind, but maybe we're putting too much emphasis on the mastermind.
Here's the thing. A lot of people tell on themselves.
Yeah.
In a lot of different crimes. People tell on themselves.
It was just sort of like head scratching. Like you are on a trial. You may possibly go away for a good portion of your life. Do
you want to know why I think he's going to go away? I think he's going to go away because so other people took deals, right? And they're like, I didn't snitch. I'm like, but you're out of jail. If you're out of jail, when it's RICO and federal, and they've given you a deal, you had something of value to them. There's just no way you did it.
Well,
now,
Tekashi,
whether you know what I mean? You had something of value. That's just how the feds work. It's like, it's a value system.
Is Gunna up on charges as well?
He's out. He took some sort of a deal. Now, and he came out screaming, I didn't snitch.
It'll be interesting.
But right, that is the thing.
It'll be interesting. Yeah.
And now they say, I just looked at something. Gunna catching heat from Pierce from taking RICO plea deal. Gunna called out by YSL co-founder over RICO plea deal.
All right, so I mean, but it's just such a ridiculous.
Lil Durk seems to target Gunna with video of Young Thug. Yeah, that's the thing. No. I'm telling you, people are like, he got out, took a plea deal, and was out. Not just, you know what I mean? Not even like, and people are like, well, how'd you get out? And he says, I didn't snitch, right?
Well, yeah, you did. I mean, right? Like, I mean, that's the only. What else could there be?
There had to be some value, right? You had to give them something to be out. They didn't just look at your face and be like, you're just a little part of this. They're the feds. They don't care. We're black people. They really don't care.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
They're just like, what can you give us? What can you do for us?
Absolutely.
Keep it moving. The next thing you know, you're Henry Hill in the middle of nowhere getting pizza with ketchup, spaghetti with ketchup on it instead of sauce. And look how that ended up for poor Henry Hill. Or nobody cares about. Yeah, it's not going to be pretty. All right, we shouldn't laugh about, but I guess the Alec. I don't know. I think the Alec Baldwin. So he has been indicted on involuntary manslaughter charges for the shooting on the Rust thing, and also the
armorer,
gun armorer. There's been a lot of. I think if he wasn't a producer on it, I think that's what the issue is.
Well, no, they're saying that he's the one who pulled the trigger. But my thing is, they say he didn't do the check he was supposed to do the check. But here's the thing that I know from having a lot of friends who work in film and work on sets when there's a gun. The actor is the last one to touch the gun. There are a lot of people and all actors do usually check the gun. But I'm sure him pulling the trigger, there's an armorer. There's so many people who touch that gun before it gets to him. There's not supposed to be live ammunition on a film set. So, I understand that he was a little bit of a dick, and I hated his interviews after. I just felt like this woman's not even in the ground yet. She has a family, and you're on your offensive trying to clear your name. I thought it was in complete poor taste, and he's in poor taste. But I don't believe I think eventually those charges will be dropped from him because there's not supposed to be a live bullet in the gun. He had no expectation.
Well, they're also
really
charging him with weapons charges too, which that's a little, I think
that's
a reach.
It's out there.
Well, I mean, I would think in this age of incredible CGI and special effects, we don't need to have guns on sets anymore. I think we can make it realistic without an actual gun.
Right.
I mean, this is not an anti-gun speech, though I am not pro-gun in some ways. But we don't need it. You can make a gun. You can make talking lizards that look realistic. You can make all sorts of things. Just don't have a real gun. But I think the weapons possession charge is a little bit of a reach because he possessed it in the sense that he put his hand on it. You know what I mean?
It's just kind of like, guys.
He's famous. I think that's a little showboating.
I realize none of us really like him, but come on, you're doing.
He's an actor. I mean, I think he's a really great actor. Actually, he's a jerk, but we've already decided.
Well, he stole the name. He stole the name I originally wanted for this podcast. Remember when I first was starting this show, I had a title. It's called "So Here's the Thing," right. And he has "So Here's the Thing" was his podcast that he doesn't even do anymore.
Oh, I think you should call Billy Baldwin and have a conversation.
Wait, which one is the one? Is this one that's really sort of like
sort of religious and a Republican?
Yeah.
Stephen Baldwin.
Oh, right, Stephen.
Justin Bieber's father-in-law.
Right. Oh, he's the one?
Yeah.
I thought it was Billy.
No, Billy Baldwin's daughter is in Wilson Phillips.
She is?
No, she's married.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. China Phillips is married to Billy Baldwin. Stephen Baldwin's daughter is Haley Bieber. Right. And then Daniel Baldwin is just, who knows? He's there. He's an actor, but he's like the bad Baldwin, But Stephen Baldwin, last I checked, was like super religious and kind of Republican-y. Whereas the other Baldwins
like
are
Scott Baio.
Yeah, super, not that crazy, I don't think. But Alec Baldwin and Billy Baldwin are very, very left-wing and very rah. I think Billy is the normal one. Alec is probably the most talented one. Though Daniel Baldwin is a good actor too.
Yeah, they all actually, are not terrible.
I don't think we could say that Stephen Baldwin is a good actor. But I'm sure he's a lovely man. Can I just say something though? And this has got nothing to do with anything. His wife's name is Kenya, I believe. So I always assumed that
she was black.
Yeah. Am I crazy for thinking?
No, because I don't know white Kenya. I've only ever known
I've
black
never met a white Kenya.
I've never met a white Kenya, ever.
Yeah, so I am assuming...
And I've met a lot of Kenyas, actually, and they've never been white.
Me too. I've never met a white Kenya. And on that note... I mean,
Well, people used to think when they heard my name, Courtney, they would always think that I was a white girl and be surprised when I showed up or they spoke to me.
Aren't you?
Well, I was cosplaying that 3 summers ago, but I think that,
Yeah, no, but I think for good reason. It's sort of like when white people name their kid Indigo. You do know what Indigo means, black, right?
Well, my girlfriend Chanel's daughter's name is Indigo.
But is she black or white?
Chanel is white. Her daughter is mixed race.
All right, so that's I will hand her that. I will give her that. It would be like a black person naming their kid Sweden, or I don't know, what's the whitest country? Utah,
Norway.
Here's my daughter, Norway.
Robinson.
Here's my daughter. Idaho, Robin. I just doesn't make sense to me.
Listen.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
You know what else doesn't make sense?
It's not a value judgment. It just doesn't make sense.
You know what else doesn't make sense? The way the fucking Giants were blown out of the fucking water.
I
didn't expect it to just get blown out by Philly. I mean, Philly just mopped the floor with them. And then they had the exit interview with the GM and the coach, and they made their commitment to Daniel Jones. They're like, we definitely are working to make a deal, but weren't so committal on our quarterback.
Yeah.
And then they weren't so committal on Saquon Barkley, which is shady, and he's saying, I want to come back. They're like, well, we'll see how that fits. Shade, which means they're going to try to trade him during the offseason. I see that coming. And our Knicks lost both games this weekend. It's like, guys, we were doing so good.
Well,
and everybody, even though there are 3 American men in the semifinals of the U.S. Open, of the Australian Open, which is great. But all my people lost this weekend. Coco's out. Francis is out. It's just kind of like, what the fuck?
I do.
Pagula's out.
I'm playing devil's advocate. American winning tennis, it's an international sport. The Knicks, I understand.
But we used to have we had Agassi, who was a big star and went on a run. We had McEnroe, right. we had guys, Jimmy Connors. We legacy-wise, American men were great in tennis, and then that fell by the wayside really more for the women. And really the women were the dominant women were Venus and Serena for so long. But so it's good to see Americans men's tennis have new stars who are rising in the ranking and doing really well, including there's a 20-year-old who came in there unranked who is in the semifinals turning it out. So we're really happy for that. And he's I believe, from this area. So that makes it even nicer. I love my tennis. I grew up watching tennis, and my mom used to take me to the U.S. Open. Queens, you go to Shea Stadium, you go to U.S. Open, the old Yankee Stadium. Remember the old Yankee Stadium?
The old Yankee Stadium is not in Queens.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying the shit that growing up in Queens that we used to do. We used to go to Shea Stadium. We used to go and then we would go to the old Yankee Stadium for the Yankees.
Yeah. I grew up with parents who were not sports people at all, so I had to discover it on my own.
So when did you go to your first basketball game? Were you an adult when you went to your first NBA game?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. My dad, if you were to say to my dad, bless his heart, we lost, like that, he would say, oh, I'm sorry, are you playing on the team? I mean, he's that guy.
Right.
So it's like,
for some reason, that's not shocking knowing you. Like, the apple does not fall far from the tree.
Actually very shocking knowing me, because I'm someone who has a great sense of community. But that said, he did.
Yeah, but you have that same mouth. Y'all, it's the mouth, though.
He did take me to my first baseball game because he knew I was really into it, and he took me. He was not into it himself, but it was never, he just wasn't, and he encouraged me when I was doing sports. He's just not that guy. He was never really, my mom was kind of more, but this is not my guy, my dad, he's just that guy, but never said you shouldn't do stuff like that. But he's just not into sports.
Okay, so I know you can't tell me anything. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame meeting has happened. I know you can't say anything yet. Just tell me this. Was it contentious? Was there...
I will tell you this, and this really is the most important thing. The Italian wedding cookies were back.
Oh my God, did you steal a bunch?
Well,
steal is a harsh word. Did you?
I ate 3. I ate 3 myself, and then I believe in a very kind gesture, I loaded up a plate of several variety of cookies and brought it to the people sitting next to me.
Oh, nice.
And it was at the iHeartRadio offices. Have you ever been to the iHeartRadio offices?
No, I haven't been to the office.
It's like, it was just like, it's all white. And there's like a big desk with microphones, and then like desks behind it, like Parliament, sort of. It's very intimidating. It's very modern. It's very kind of fabulous, but it's like, it was not what I expected it to be.
Right.
But
was it contentious? Was there yelling? Was there
no yelling? There's never any yelling. But I have to say it was very nice seeing everybody. I will tell you something that's very funny. So nobody was wearing a mask. I was not wearing a mask for a while, and then I decided to sit in the baby section. And then I gave up my seat and I sat in the back. And then I ended up having a good time because I was sitting next to Amir, who was hilarious, and Nathan Brackett, who was hilarious, and James and a bunch of people. So we're up there eating. And at one point, I hear coughing, and I grab my mask and I put it on. And Amir starts laughing, and I'm like, "What?" He goes, "That's Tom Morello on the Zoom call."
Because you were like, "I'm not playing that shit.
I'm not playing."
You're not. Don't.
I don't care if it's celebrity COVID or not.
I'm not fucking doing this shit.
I'm not doing this.
Right.
I don't care how many famous people in the room. Right. But I have to say one more time, it was lovely to see everybody in person. It was lovely to see the women, and I'm going to say that Dave Grohl may be the nicest human being in the entire world.
I've heard that about him.
No, he really, honestly.
I've heard that about him.
Big hug, and we were talking about old punk rock stuff and the death of but I mean, it's just like, it's like so nice. And considering what the horrible year he's had, with the death of Taylor Hawkins, but just the nicest guy in the world. He hugged me and said he loved me.
And you were like, "Thank you very much.
Can I have a cookie?" But I was going to steal some cookies. And by steal, I mean take them to a more deserving home. And I thought, let's not push it.
You've been looking forward to these cookies for 3 years.
Oh, honey.
I don't know why.
Is that a New York thing, those Italian wedding cookies?
Yes. Well, I think so. I really do think so.
No.
I love those shits. There's some that are really my favorite. Like, I like that one that has like the
nuts,
that has the gelée in it, and then the end is dipped in chocolate with sprinkles on it.
Oh,
I love that one.
What are those called?
Thingy with gelée in it with
chocolate. Oh my God, those are amazing. They're like they're like shortbread with chocolate at the end with sprinkles on the top. Amazing.
I do love the one with the nuts too. The one with the nuts too.
Oh, the kind of almondy ones?
Yeah. I love that.
Did you grow up eating Stella D'Oro cookies and you dunked them in your? Love
Stella D'Oro motherfucker
right.
Swiss fudge cookie and the one that looked like an S. That was my favorite. I love that shit.
I love that. The Stella is the Stella D'Oro factory still in the Bronx?
No, didn't they go away? Actually, no. And then somebody bought the recipes because they're back in stores. Somebody else bought them, but I don't.
Oh, I know. I just saw them. They're back.
Yeah. They are back.
I love Stella D'Oro.
Yeah.
That was like high class living back when we were kids. That was imported.
I was like, this is a couture cookie.
Right.
It's
little
couture.
Did we know, little Courtney and little Amy know that these were not from Italy. They were from the Bronx.
They were from motherfucking Gun Hill Road. It's like remember the Intimates factory that used to be in Brooklyn over by Left City? And you could always smell the bread and
Ebinger's. And now I'm getting okay, we have to now. We make ourselves hungry on this. We may be the only show in the world that is looking for a churro and a cookie endorsement.
I mean, a churro, Miss Thing. My churro lady's at the 145th train station, so I always know where to go to get a churro.
Yeah, no, the prices have gone up, but I can't be mad at them. I can't be mad at them because these are hardworking women. They work, in the words of the great Donna Summer, they work hard for the money.
Din, 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 din.
Din, 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 din. What are you listening to these days? You always listen to something cool.
Well, there's been nothing really that new, so I've been listening to the same shit I've been listening to. But I also have been digging into my Sylvester albums, and not really the up-tempo tracks. A lot of his slower and jazzier numbers, which I don't think people really talk about enough. You know what I'm saying? It's like I've been down, baby. He is singing and singing and singing his face off and changes and all of the songs.
That's a biopic I want to see.
Let me just tell you something. That's a story.
That's a story.
And that could be a really fierce, rollicking, good-ass time.
That's a story. The whole Cockettes and him.
Yep. I enjoyed.
You've seen the Cockettes documentary, right?
It was so good. And listen, I saw a Mighty Real, the off-Broadway production of Sylvester. Right. That was really enjoyable and fun. But a Sylvester true biopic.
Oh, that would be great.
That would be fucking amazing.
That would be great. And this would be the perfect moment for it.
And you know who could play him? Alex Newell.
I don't know who that is.
Alex Newell is, I don't know what Alex's pronouns are, but Alex has the voice. Alex
where were they?
I'll send you some clips.
Send me, yeah. But this would be oh my God, we're geniuses. Because this is the moment for like a queer Black art that's coming out on Broadway, and this would be the moment,
because I think Sylvester is a blueprint for a lot of these kids. It's like on how to not put yourself in a box. Sylvester presented so many different ways. In days where Sylvester felt like being more masculine presenting, he was masculine presenting. When he felt like being more feminine presenting, he was feminine presenting. When he felt like being something in between, he was. But he never put himself in a box. He never had to call himself anything. He never said, this is what I am. He was like, I'm Sylvester. Yeah. And that's the lesson I want a lot of these young people to get. It's like, you don't have to define yourself. That's only to make other people comfortable. If you feel like mass presenting on Monday and femme presenting on Tuesday and feeling somewhere in between on Wednesday, you know what I mean? Just be. You don't have to call it something. You don't have to explain it to anybody.
That's social media again.
That is for other people's comfort. Just live in your authenticity. You don't have, you know what I mean? It's like, and I think that message would resonate with a lot of young people today.
So much. But that would be an amazing documentary.
Yeah, it really. Well, there's been like little pieces on him and stuff, but I mean, and his book, the book Mighty Real, The Fabulous Sylvester, it's great. Listen, he's ripe for it. Yeah, he's absolutely right.
Because there's a lot of mystery, and the topics and the issues and the presentation.
And he was groundbreaking.
Are right now.
They really are right now.
All right, get going on it, Courtney. Come on, get your movie people on it. Well, I was going to say, I mean, I think it's a brilliant idea. I really do think it's a brilliant. You read Jason King's stuff about Sylvester? He did a whole Spotify thing about it.
And I listened to that series. Was amazing.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. For some reason, to quote you, I've been listening, I guess because I got a press release about the 30th anniversary of the first Seal record, but I have gone back and listened to the first two Seal records.
Great records. And he's touring those records. He's about
I know. Yeah, no, and he's really good live. At least he was when I saw him back when he was supporting those early records. But I mean, they're just really, and he's touring with Trevor Horn and the Buggles.
Yeah, I saw him when he toured the second record and Desiree opened for him.
Yes, at the
Beacon. Yes. And he was amazing.
Wasn't that a great show?
I mean, she was amazing. He was amazing.
God, whatever happened to her?
Right. Like,
who did she piss off?
But I think she stepped away on her own shit. You know what I mean? Good. Yeah, I think she's one of those ones. Listen, she's one of those ones who wrote her music, produced, owned her stuff. So and I know somebody who knew her. She was very, very smart with her money.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear. I'm always glad to hear that.
Was a really smart with her money, and is kind of, I think pokes her head out and works and does things when she wants to.
Good for her.
Which isn't like Kate Bush, but Kate Bush, that that's the ultimate artist shit, right? Come out when I have something to say. You don't really need to see me. I don't have social media. Like I'm busy living a real life. And I appreciate that. That's kind of old school artistry. I
enjoy not knowing every little freaking thing about
I enjoy not knowing what you have for breakfast.
Oh, but what did you have for breakfast?
Well, I will tell you. I
want to know what you had for breakfast.
I had a Beyond sausage patty with 35% less salt and sodium and fat on a Hawaiian, one of those sweet Hawaiian roll bun things.
The Hawaiian rolls, yeah.
With a cup of hot chocolate and my vitamins.
I'm sorry. I love the fact that you not going to have
and 3 gummy bears.
Edibles or gummy bears?
Gummy bears.
Okay. I had, because I didn't eat yesterday for some reason. I don't know why. You know when you go out to dinner with people and you're not sure if they're going to pick up the check or not and you're really broke and so you don't order anything? I was kind of broke.
Right.
I was with people. I didn't want to order. I wasn't sure because I was like, if I order something and it's $20, even if it's a grilled cheese, I don't want to order it because I don't want to be, oh shit, dividing up the check. And then all of a sudden, after everyone is ordered, it's like, just put it on my bill, which was lovely. But I'm like, oh, fuck. Now it would look really tacky if
you're saying like, wait, can I have the steak au poivre, please?
Really? Did I say I wasn't hungry?
Right.
I had my overnight oats, which are delicious, which I'm experimenting with coconut in it now.
Oh.
And it's really good. And 9,000 cups of coffee. And the water is turned off in my building, so I will not be washing my hands.
Okay, well, that's not cute. What's going on?
It's 4 hours. They always do that. Old buildings, you know how it is.
Yeah, I live in an old building. Yeah.
It's New York. So that's what I'm listening to. So you want to do your patented whatever your patented takeoff?
Yes.
Take what is it called?
Oh, hello. It is me, Prince Harold, Duke of Windsor, Duke of Sussex, Duke of something.
Because this is when all the fluids I've drank beforehand start kicking in. Please. Getting old socks.
I mean, Miss Thing, listen. It's like sometimes I wake up like, why does that hurt? Oh, because I sat up?
Right, because I sat up.
Okay, no problem. Thanks. I just wanted to check because that hurt.
Really?
You know what the deal is, folks. Thank you for listening to us on the Pantheon Podcast Network, where you can find a gazillion music shows and us. So follow us on Pantheon. You can also follow the Pantheon Podcast page on YouTube, where our show appears in the main feed as well. And you know what to do. Tell a friend, share our show, leave a comment, leave a rating, come to our Facebook page at ImmaLetYouFinish. Come to us at I don't know. No, Facebook is ImmaLetYouFinish.
Right.
Twitter is Finish Imma.
Finish Imma.
What is our Instagram? ImmaLetYouFinish. Listen, you don't find us. You see us. It's all of the shit. It's early in the morning when we tape this shit.
You can find us. You can find us.
You can find us by railway. You can find us by airway. Just
like a churro lady. You know where we're going to be and when we're going to be there.
So just come find us. Share our show. We love you. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next week. Toodles.
It's NFL draft season, and that means it's time to start thinking about fantasy football. FantasyPoints.com features industry-leading experts and prognosticators using proprietary hand-charted data to help you score more fantasy points. FantasyPoints.com is the place to go for whatever kind of fantasy football you play. Whether you play fantasy football, daily fantasy sports, or do a little bit of everything, Fantasy Points has the meticulously researched content to guide you to victory. And why wait for the fall? Fantasy Points also covers the new spring football league, the UFL. Join the guru, John Hansen, Scott Barrett, Joe Dolan, and other massive names in the fantasy football universe with an exclusive offer. Use code Pantheon for 15% off any Fantasy Points package, including the all-in package with access to every article, tool, and data nugget that Fantasy Points has to offer. That's fantasypoints.com and code Pantheon for 15% off at Fantasy Points. Fantasypoints.com, code Pantheon. Score more fantasy points.